Hey, it's your good buddy Heath here to bring you another episode of Tom Talks. I am joined, as always, by Adam Kelly, the gracious GM of Southern Tomfoolery. How's it going, buddy?
It's going pretty good. Good to be here as always. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Much more exciting than that is
Agreed.
the fact that we're joined today by the voice of Aaron Vance, my good friend Zach Evans. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's going on,
Zach,
guys?
it's like been forever since you've been here.
And here I am. I'm back. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to start with. I was to say, welcome back to Tom Talks. It's been a while for you, Zach, so I am excited to have you on. I think you'll be pretty excited for this one because today it's all about video games. Now, obviously, that's far too wide a discussion topic to cover as a whole, so I wanted to focus mostly on games that relate in some way to our interest in TTRPGs, though there are a lot of games out there that I know we've been excited about, so we'll probably weave in and out of that lane.
As we do.
As you do. I know that the three of us in particular, as far as our group of friends, really gravitate towards long, expansive, mostly open-world RPGs. At least more than the rest of the STF crew.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah. I personally find that interesting how the genre really displays a sort of cyclical nature of time in that games like Dungeons and Dragons and pen and paper games like that were the inspiration for many of our early RPG video games. But due to our ages, it was kind of the reverse situation where I think in each of our cases, those were the kinds of games that paved our way to more tabletop pen and paper type games.
Yeah, I think that's a really solid assessment, actually, because I don't know if I would have considered a TTRPG if I had not played so many video game RPGs growing up.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say we're all in the same boat there. I mean, it was because of earlier games like experiences with Skyrim and stuff like that by the time we thought about doing this, I was even open to it, you know? I definitely wouldn't have been interested in a TTRPG, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that that's the same for me, but I mean, you know, the 10-year difference, I don't know if it's really an age thing or just a different experience growing up type thing. You know, I mean, I've been playing computer games since I was very, very young. You know, I had the old, like, Commodore 64, like old school shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, like DOS prompt type situation, you don't. So
it's like you're just digging this hole deeper.
But like in high school and actually in middle school, like I never like played D&D proper, but I'd always like heard of it as kind of like this kind of magical, or there was like some lore around it when I was a kid, but I didn't have any way to like have access to it or know how to play it. But I just had like the general notion that there was pen and paper games out there. So like me and my friends would like try to make up something that we thought approximated what it was, we would draw like little mazes out on notebook paper and like sketch little swords and shields and stuff and be like, but we didn't know what the fuck we were doing, and then video games became much more in the focus. For me, it was computer games like all the way through high school. I didn't own a console myself until I was in college.
Except the Commodore 64.
Well, like, so it was the computer version of that. And it was one of those original green text computers where like everything was ASCII characters and like text-based, and it was old school.
I vaguely remember playing like Oregon Trail on a computer like that at school in computer
this is like
lab.
Pre-Oregon Trail, like when Oregon Trail hit, I was like, "Oh, dude, this is dope! Look at this!" Like
this is a major upgrade.
Yeah. But yes, it does kind of cycle back because then I got into video games and then came back to TTRPGs with a much better understanding of how to approach it.
Yeah, that's I think the important thing to note on this is that having played RPG video games allowed, I think, definitely me and Heath, if not you as well, to better wrap our heads around the idea of playing a pen and paper RPG. Yeah. And so, you know, in that respect, it's pretty important.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely accurate, I know, for me. And actually ties into, I wanted to ask you guys, I think it's kind of inevitable that your first foray into this genre, if you come to love it like we do, will always be kind of uniquely special to you. So I wanted to ask you guys, what was the first game that opened your eyes to the value of RPGs? I was assuming when I wrote it that was a video game. I didn't know the long and fabled history that Adam had.
I'm just old, man. I don't know what to tell you. But I'll start, and I'll give you the answer you're looking for, because it was a computer game that first got me into the idea of a like leveling progression story where your choices matter to some degree. Now, this is nowhere near at the level of RPGs that we have today or anything close to tabletop RPGs, but there was this series of games called Quest for Glory that was made by a computer software developer, Sierra, online. And like in their heyday, like from the late 80s to, you know, the early 90s, they were like the software developer for computers. They had like so many lines. They had King's Quest. They had Space Quest. They had Police Quest. They had Quest for Glory. They had Gabriel Knight, which was like a gothic horror themed one. And it was this point and click adventures. You know, you guys probably have heard of like Secret of Monkey Island, maybe?
Yeah.
You heard of that one?
Okay. I'm familiar with that one.
All right. So Lucasfilm Arts, who made that, is like a direct result of Sierra's birth of that genre. Okay. And so like Sierra made the first point and click, like graphic adventures that at least like hits or whatever. And so they were staples for kind of anybody my age who was into adventure games. And the one that really stood out to me was the Quest for Glory series, which was the only one where you had a character that progressed in skills, and you could pick between a fighter, a mage, and a thief. It was like real generic, you know, like fighter, mage, thief. But if you played through the game, you had to solve the game's puzzles in different ways depending on which class you picked, you know. So every puzzle in the game had 3 different solutions, you know, and it would all be like specific to what a magic user could do versus what a fighter or a thief could do. So that was like the first time I even like was aware of the concept of like classes and skills that boost up as you gain experience and do things. And from that point on, that's like what I wanted out of games. You know, that was always my favorite of those early Sierra games.
So I was trying to rack my brain. Like, I know I've played something back in the day that was Sierra. And I remember, and this is not my answer to the question, but I just had to, it was like an epiphany. I remember when I was working off of the like discs that AOL would mail to you on dial-up, I would get in the mail little like demo game discs that had like 6 games on them. And one of them was a Sierra game called Pharaoh. And it was basically like Civilization, but just Egyptian. So
that was like late stage, and they were starting to crumble as a company. Then they had it's those classic story of, I mean, how many different video game companies of the 80s have that like rise to peak and then immediately like
fall apart.
And so that's kind of what happened. Like Sierra was riding, like they were dominating. Like every computer game shelf was the newest King's Quest game and the newest, you know, like it was, that was it. And then Myst, you know, it was like the one, lone
thing. I played, you know? Myst. Yeah.
But like, so they crumbled and they started trying to do some other stuff and it didn't work. But yeah, they had a partnership with AOL and they were sending out like, I got a whole Sierra like 6 game disc, and I only liked like 2 games on it. But I remember playing Pharaoh, and because it was a demo disc, it was the first 2 levels, and
it was kind of like Civilization, that it progresses in time, and that to some degree is how you get to the next like level or zone or
Upgrades,
whatever.
Yeah.
Based on if you've achieved certain, progress points or whatever. But I got really good at it, and I would get to the end of the second level and it'd be like, oh, you're done. That's all that's on the disc. And I never would buy the game or ask my parents to buy me the game. I just started over.
Oh, man.
So, Zach, what about you? I mean, I think some of our, relatively early experiences when we first started hanging out kind of intermingle, but I'd be willing to bet that when me and you first started playing like KOTOR and WoW and stuff, that was not your first foray into the RPG realm.
Definitely not. I mean, I played Final Fantasy VII in 1997. That was, I think, my first like real RPG to like play. I did play an earlier Final Fantasy at my cousin's house, like on his Sega or something like that I don't remember at all. But the game that made me like aware of like classes and fantasy races and different flavors and different roles for each class was EverQuest. EverQuest. I got into EverQuest.
In that,
yeah. I mean, I was in 6th grade when EverQuest came out. So,
yeah, I completely missed the boat. I didn't become friends with Zach soon enough for EverQuest.
Yeah, and I only got turned on to it by an older friend who played it.
Yeah, it must have been. I mean,
yeah, but I got the strategy guide, and I read that thing like front to back. Like I would take it to class with me and just read and just study and like get all of this, because the strategy guide for EverQuest had like long write-ups for each flavor of class and the lore of each class and each race. And I just like remember poring over that thing. And that is where I became aware of an RPG in those terms. So way back in the day in 6th grade. Of course, I've played many
way back in those EverQuest
in
days.
the EverQuest days, man. Not like what, 99, 98, something like that. Yeah.
I could not tell you.
Heath, this is why I was a little nervous to do this Tom Talks, because I just knew that the age discrepancy would never be more apparent in this, because like video games are so much more immediate, right? Like,
well, they progress so much faster.
Yeah, like we have tons of musical overlap because music's a little bit more persistent, and we have similar tastes as far as that. But like games, like once games have evolved to the next stage, like most of the time, the older ones are gone and forgotten quickly. We have our personal memories with them, but that's all they are. It's what I'm saying?
Well, that's why there's such a clamor for like those games from your nostalgic past to get remade in good ways. And we're going to get to remakes later on, but it is interesting because it's like technology progresses so fast with video games that, stuff gets left by the wayside that was like your life for a year,
I think Diablo 2 probably came out somewhere around there.
The first Diablo was pretty instrumental for me, too.
See, I didn't really play the first Diablo, but I played the second one. That's when I started.
Second one's the best one.
I agree. Completely better than 3, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, 3's fun, hack and slash, but 2 just felt like, I don't know, it still was real dark, like, and I mean, like, not that 3 isn't, but it's almost become like cartoony dark,
Right.
And the second one, I don't know if it was that the graphics were like just bad enough that things were, you couldn't really tell what was going on.
Right.
But you knew it was some blob of some awful.
Yeah.
Like,
just some gore in the corner there.
Yeah. I don't know. It was, Diablo 2 was really fun. I really enjoyed that one.
And I mean, that is an RPG.
It is, definitely.
That also counts. And it has classes as well, I think. So, yeah.
So,
what about you, Heath?
Yeah, so I came to the RPG table, I feel like a little later than you guys did. When I was like young.
I'd say yes.
When I was really young, I kind of just played, like I lived with my grandparents or my dad, like off and on. And I'd just play whatever they'd get for me. So like a lot of my really early video game stuff was playing like Tekken and like NASCAR games with my dad and stuff. So like I didn't really get into the RPG thing proper until I remember. I've got a couple. Definitely when I started hanging out with Zach, I got into some RPGs. But I remember our friend Corey Waltman, who I don't know if he's ever actually even listened to the podcast. I need to hit him up. But I remember I would go stay the night at his house all the time in like 7th and 8th and 9th grade. And he had, I remember when he bought the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And he was the friend, I don't know if other people have this friend, but I did, who like, he would buy games so his friends would come over and play them. And he wouldn't play it. He'd just watch you play it. So like, I would go stay the night at his house for like 2-3 nights in a row and just play Oblivion. And Oblivion was like the game, like that really did it.
Yeah, Oblivion I've heard so much about. I've never played Oblivion.
I still love Oblivion.
It's pretty dated now.
It is, but I still love it.
I played the first Elder Scrolls.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
200
really
years
showing
old?
your age here, man. Yeah.
Well, I'm just, hey, we're talking about it. It's fine. You know, like, I'm with it. I'm okay with it. But yeah, I played the first one. And I wasn't ready for it. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, like, when I played it, and like, it was pretty buggy too, you know, if you can imagine.
What's new?
Yeah. But it was also, it was so big. It was beyond a scope of anything that I'd ever thought was possible on a computer or on a video game or whatever, you know, like just the scope of it. Like I had seen better graphics on other games and that, but it was just so freaking huge that I was like, well, I can either play this game or I can finish high school. So I finished high school, you know, like, cause it could just suck you in.
I had actually I remember I got Morrowind before I got Oblivion, and I had the same experience. I was not ready for it. And Morrowind does not hold your hand. It's just like, here's a world, go do stuff. Yeah. And like, I played it for like 2 hours and put it down. I was like, this game sucks. And I like, that's actually one of my goals now that I'm older is to go back and play Morrowind.
Ooh, good luck, man.
I know.
Good luck.
I mean, Skyrim really fixed a lot of the quality of life things that was wrong with the Elder Scrolls.
You know what, dude? Honestly, I know we all played Skyrim. We can spend the whole session
I played Skyrim 4 days ago.
like still playing Skyrim.
But Skyrim is really showing its age.
Yeah,
it's finally starting to. It lasted, I mean, it had a shelf life much longer than most games.
You know that the first Elder Scrolls, I didn't know this until just now, I was Googling it, that it came out on my birthday in 1994. So I imagine I probably got that for my birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Would be my guess.
Yeah, so after hanging out at Corey's and getting sucked into Oblivion, not long after that, I think probably a year or two, I started hanging out with Zach, and then World of Warcraft happened. Like,
yeah,
and I mean that is a whole era of life, but it is, I mean, it's the first mega hugely popular, you know, MMORPG, but is still truly an RPG, which brings me to kind of the next segment I wanted to discuss. And every time, I don't know why I keep thinking it's going to be different. Every time I go to do a Tom Talks and start researching, thinking I have a topic that's going to be easy peasy, no problem, I start doing the research and it's like, oh, there's actually a lot of like debate and contention on this point that I just took for granted. So
welcome to the internet.
Right. Yeah. So like, I wanted for the three of us to kind of develop a working definition for what we mean by RPG, because the problem is just saying the words role-playing game. And if that's the only context you have, I mean, that could be anything. You're playing a role in 95% of games, you know?
Yeah,
so but that's not what we mean.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and narrow that down to all genres could be that broad, but they are kind of agreed upon to at least narrow it down to a smaller section of all games, right? So we can at least start this conversation and figure out, kind of get down to the nitty gritty, that role-playing games are at least story-driven, right?
Yes.
Not sports games.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to say not first person shooters, because there are some first person shooters that are role playing games, but first person shooters as an action game first, that's not a role playing game. Not by the genre definition. Yeah. So like, I just don't, you could play a role in Mario. I think you said that before we started recording. Like, but let's not get hung up on that level of semantics in this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but that's why I do want to suss out, like, what do we mean when people in the know that like RPGs when we talk about an RPG? You mentioned that it's story driven. Sure, I think that's absolutely a big part of it. For me, I think probably the biggest factor in what I would consider like a pure RPG has to have some level of character creation, not just customization, but like you get to create your own character from a number of different classes or styles.
See, that not necessarily though.
I think because you don't create The Witcher, but The Witcher is definitely a role-playing
an
game.
RPG. You don't create your characters in Final Fantasy.
So I would say that it's having progression tied to choice makes an RPG when it comes to that. Like, your choices are tied to the progression of your character, like the power progression of your character. You get choices in that, you know? So like, cause some you do get to make a character and it covers that, but in others, it starts you off with like kind of a base character that you mold, like God of War, the most recent God of War, or even like, Assassin's Creed, Odyssey. Like, I consider those role-playing games.
Yeah.
See, those like beg the question for me though, like what is the difference in an RPG and a hybrid that has RPG elements but isn't necessarily a pure RPG?
Well, I mean, because then I think you start getting into subgenres of RPG, right? Like, if we're still calling RPG kind of as an analogy of rock, but under rock there's blues and there's psychedelic rock and there's funk and you know what I mean? Like, right. So I would say that the RPG hybrid, action hybrid, is kind of a subgenre of RPG because it's still, to me, it has all those elements that when you think about what's bringing you to an RPG is that you have some agency over how your character gets more powerful. That's the appeal of an RPG.
I honestly think it just has to do with just advancement, right? In a more broader sense, because some RPGs you level up, but you don't have any control over the way that character develops.
Such as?
Can you
give an example?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the early Final Fantasy games, for example. You have character classes, but you don't necessarily like have a skill tree or anything like that. You get things at different levels.
You still made a choice of what your progression was going to be, right? Even if it's just the one at the initial thing, it's like goes back to what I was saying with Quest for Glory. When you pick a fighter for that, the fighter has one thing that it does that it gets better at, like the same thing with Final Fantasy and even Zelda to that degree, right? Another classic.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I think it's just progression.
Period.
You know what I mean? It's just progression, period.
But like, how does that not apply to something like Mario, where as you get into higher levels, you get more abilities, like,
those are just temporary power-ups that are available in the level. That's not, like, you don't get a raccoon tail or a cap in Mario, and you can just put it on whenever you want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
So permanent progression?
I would say permanent progression.
Progression.
Well, permanent, like incremental progression.
Yeah.
And one of the things, as I was doing my reading that made me think about it, is this notion of going from when you are level 1 being equivalent to like a badass commoner to when you get to max level, you're basically a god. Like, that's kind of an element of all RPGs for the most point, is that you feel your levels so much by getting them incrementally every single level.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Incremental, permanent progression.
There you go. All right. What else, Heath? What are some other elements of RPGs? One,
just according to the old Wikipedia, is an emphasis that RPGs as a genre have are exploration and the concept of quest. So like not just having a storyline that you are going through with no control. You just like having control over your levels, you have control over the order in which you do the things that allow you to progress. So basically having a main quest and a bunch of side quests and other quests that you can choose what order you do them.
I would say mostly, again, we're going to get way too buried in semantics on this, but okay, we'll go with that. Not all have like branching narratives, but I think they definitely have a quest-based system. Like the quests start small and gradually become more and more grandiose, right?
Yeah, and maybe to what you're saying, Heath, that there's an element of being able to explore the space of the game, as opposed to being like on a side scroller where you can't get off the level, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, exploration in general is a big thing that is constantly brought up with RPGs. The fact that you can explore the world as part of the game, even if you're not doing a quest.
Well, and it's almost part of the challenge of the game, because I think back to Zelda, one of the original RPGs, where you don't even have a quest, really. You just start. And you have to explore to find out what to do. Like I'm talking about the original Zelda here. And in like up through to like Zelda 4 before they started even trying to give you some hints. And I mean, I'm even playing Breath in the Wild now, and there's not a lot of guidance. It encourages you to just walk around and find shit till you find it. You know what I mean? And like, I think that, of course, there's a quest kind of layered in there, but it's so vague, that's if there's a spectrum of it, I guess the Zelda's like fully in the like, here's the world, good luck kind of finding it, as to something a little bit more streamlined like God of War, where it's like, yeah, you can explore around the edges, but you pretty much always know where you're supposed to be going next in that game.
Yeah. All right, next element.
Do you have anything else? Because that's kind of the big ones. Or exploration and quests get lumped together, having a defined set of quests or quest path, as well as separate from that, being able to explore a world more openly. That's not to say necessarily that an RPG has to be open world, right? Like it can have zones that have limitations that you can explore. That would be the case with Zelda. Like, it's not just a world that you just go anywhere right out the gate.
I mean, it kind of is. I mean, the problem is that you very quickly get to a part where you're incapable of surviving because the monsters are too strong, or you don't have like a particular like defense that you need. But like, there's nothing stopping you from going into a place. There's no like hard, like invisible video game wall saying you can't go here until you're leveled up. What it is you just start getting encounters that you can't beat, Yeah.
Which I was going to bring up loot, but I think that loot ties into progression.
No, no, it's separate. And that was my next point it seems at least incredibly common that there will be a loot system, not only for like consumables and things like that, but especially in most of our more modern RPGs, like you have different slots for each like piece of armor and stuff like that. And that's one way in which like Assassin's Creed has been RPGified in the last few years, is they used to you had a full set of armor and they added more RPG elements to where, okay, now you can constantly be collecting loot, kind of like a looter shooter, but you're also, because you have 5 different like armor slots, you can interweave those however you want. So does an RPG, is it required to have a loot system akin to that?
I would say most do. But you can also tie it into progression in a way, I think. I
think it's hard to do the type of story of an RPG without having loot. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's so baked into that type of adventuring, you want to find stuff. That's the whole point of being on an adventure to some degree,
and that's because they stem from tabletop RPGs.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like that has been so baked into the like skeleton and the core of building an RPG game that I don't think anybody's ever even considered not having some form of loot in the game.
Yeah. Well, and to Zach's point, like that, I can see how you would lump that in with progression, but it's like two sides of the same coin. Like in many RPGs, your progression is two different elements. How you choose to get better loot and what you choose. Even that has a lot of choice usually. Like what weapons you use are choices that you have. What kind of armor, light, heavy.
That's why I think choice is somewhat important in as a part of a RPG. Like as part of I was saying at the beginning that I do think that choice is a huge element to RPGs.
Yeah.
It's like role-playing game. Like it's trying to get you invested and having some agency over the character that you're playing,
Yeah. So, but to what degree of choice do you have to have? Like what separates, I guess we've kind of already answered this, but like, choose your own adventure stories have choice in how you go about the narrative, but they don't have the other elements of choice that we're talking about.
Well, if you're talking about like choose adventure books.
Well, yeah, and there have been video games that have been made based on that style as well.
Yeah, but those aren't RPGs, right? Those are choose your own adventure narratives. They're barely games. I think of those. Well, I mean, and I don't mean that disparagingly.
They're interactive.
They're interactive stories. They're not. Yeah, they're not like a game that's built on like any game elements. A game has to have like a challenge or a puzzle component that you're trying to overcome and a bit of luck to be a good game. A bit of randomization, I should say. And I mean those are just clever tricked books. Like. I don't consider those RPGs at all. Like you're talking about the tall tale games or whatever.
Telltale games and stuff like that.
Yeah. Those aren't RPGs to me.
Okay. So I mean, I guess that's my question though, is like, do you have to have those elements of choice in your gear and your
I don't think
your leveling?
No, I don't think it has to be. I don't think it's as specific as that. I just think that RPGs can be characterized by having choice at some point along the way about how your character interacts with the world, instead of kind of playing it as an observer as far as who your character is and what's happening to them, and you're just playing the mechanics of it. Like
you're inhabiting the character.
You're inhabiting the character in a role-playing game.
Yeah.
And that you're making some choice along the way that's yours to make for that character. And it's going to be at least a little different than somebody else's choice. Even if it's as simple as, I prefer the boomerang in Zelda over the sword. Or I prefer the white mage over the red mage in Final Fantasy. Whatever, because those are all pretty streamlined.
Yeah.
Choices, but you get to say, hey, I'm making this choice. So now you feel attached to the character.
Yes. I think that's an important point to make, is that those choices that you make let you embody your version of that character because you're inhabiting that character in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's why it was something I was considering that I brought up earlier about games like God of War or like the modern Assassin's Creeds or whatever that have a lot of elements of that choice, have RPG elements and stuff, but I don't know whether or not we would classify them as pure RPGs, especially considering like.
Well, if you put the qualifier pure in front of it, no.
Yeah, sure. but I mean, my point being characters that are already prefabricated for you. As opposed to being able to make your own character based on the templates that are available to you.
There are plenty of RPGs that your character is already an individual. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no one can argue that The Witcher is not an RPG.
Right.
The Witcher games. No one can argue that. But Geralt is a person. He's
very defined.
He's very defined. However, within that, because you get to make choices about not only Geralt's like skill tree, but his armor and weapon choice, and the decisions that he makes as he's going about in the world. That's what makes it an RPG, because you're playing your version of Geralt. So I don't think that you can say you have to be able to create a character, or it has to be something from scratch.
Yeah, like if you're playing one of the iconics in Pathfinder, it's a character that's already made that you can play, but you're still playing Pathfinder. You're still playing a tabletop role-playing game.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's any different when it comes to something like The Witcher, or God of War 3 or something like that.
Okay. I mean, well, I'm not trying to like beat a dead horse on it, but it is something that, like, for me, I prefer to make my own character.
It's definitely
it makes it far more engaging.
I agree.
I agree with you on that. Like, it's definitely a preference type thing in a subgenre of, I guess, of the more like robust character creation driven RPG like Skyrim or tabletop or, something like that. Like, yeah, I mean, that's what I like. That's what I prefer. But man, there's been so many quality RPGs that are centered around a named hero that I love too,
Yeah. Well, it seems like, particularly in the last few years, that there have been a lot of games or even like long existing franchises that have gone with that kind of model of like taking a character that is already well defined or whatever, but adding RPG elements into the game that didn't used to be there. God of War, like we said, has more of like a skill tree and stuff like that than it used to have.
I think with video games, it's remarkably more difficult to give the players that much choice because you have to still like construct scripted events without
screwing it up.
Yeah, and so if you give players too much control of their characters in a video game, then there's a real potential of them trying to do something that you haven't written for, as opposed to a tabletop role-playing game where you have a lot more ability to improvise and use your imagination to sort out what's going to happen. So like, I think as it went from tabletop to digital's, representations of what all these game designers were doing when they were kids, it's like they tried to do as much of that as they can, but you got to give credit to best, I can never say their name.
Bethesda.
Thank you. And Blizzard, for their ability to create a engine that can handle such a wide range of character choices. Cause that can't be easy to do within the confines of a digital medium,
A video game is going to constrain you in ways that tabletop is not, because they can only program so many variables for each different thing. You know what I mean? Like you end up making choices, but each of those choices are from a set. Whereas tabletop, you can make some absolutely wild choices. But then I was thinking about it, and if you've ever read an AP, Paizo will write like, if the player does this, it's beyond the scope of the adventure. And so that's like their get out of jail free card. They don't have to worry about programming that in. You, the DM, now have to worry about programming that in.
Yeah. They give you the option, but I think that's a valid point to bring up because I was thinking of that as well. That like, particularly if you're playing APs, it is a little bit more like being within the relative confines of a video game because like there is the world that they have constructed to exist in this AP. Now you can certainly homebrew and do whatever you want outside of that, but that requires extra work on your part.
Gotta patch it.
As the GM, yeah.
You gotta put that mod on it, dude.
Yeah. So video games can't do that on the fly based on individual player choice, you know? So you are a little more limited.
And I don't say that to like bring up like, oh, well, this is why tabletop is better than video games. I bring it up to say I understand why a lot of developers choose to have a defined persona at the center of their game so they can write a story that's fun to play through with a protagonist. Because the thing is about AP writers is that they have to write a whole story with zero protagonists, because the protagonists are different for every person that sits down to play that. And so like video games, I mean, they're like, no, man, we want to make movie style experiences that have like kind of a beginning and an end, even if it's expansive, you can put 200 hours in it, still has a story that's being told. And that's, you can't tell those kind of dramatic stories as a video game if the players are making a character with their own whole backstory, totally different. That's just not possible. Like they can't bring the character that you create into the story unless they say this is the character who's in the story,
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think, a lot of AAA games lately have had that situation and have done really well. And I'm glad that games like that exist. The Witcher 3, which I just a couple weeks ago beat the main story. I've still got one more DLC. But that game's fantastic, and I wouldn't disparage it at all just because it has Geralt as opposed to somebody that I created. And like I said, God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey did it, and they were a little more hammy with the story. But those are good things, I think. It's just a preference that I like to be able to create a character. But I do think, going back to Skyrim, there are games that have done it well, like that you can completely create a character however you want and still have an engaging, with Skyrim, a ton of different engaging narratives that have a beginning, middle, end. That's one thing that made Skyrim so replayable is that it's not just the main quest and main quest line and a few side quests. There were long ass 10-hour, quest lines for
that you could totally
everything.
Walk by and never see. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a really well developed world that felt lived in and alive. But, to be fair, when you play Skyrim, your character is represented by their power level, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like,
the narrative stuff doesn't change based on who you are.
You are often just kind of an observer in the landscape of the stories that are going on. Yeah, you like do the things and you go and assassinate the person, but nothing's ever your idea, right? And like there's no like personal story being told about your character. It's more about you're being a hero going to help a bunch of different people. And so the personality that defines your character and all the customization is, how did you come up your skill tree? What kind of weapons did you go for? What kind of build did you go for? It's the identity of your character in Skyrim is purely mechanical, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, you do kind of have a set, like you are the Dragonborn in Skyrim. So that is sort of...
Yeah, that one main quest.
That thread. And you become, the head of the Mages Guild or the head of the Assassins Guild. Yeah,
but that's not a personal story.
It's not a personal story. Yeah. So what I'm saying is you are defined by what you've done in that story. Like, you're referred to by your titles, Yeah. And not like your individual
There's not a lot of personality involved with it. Right. There is an acknowledgement of accomplishment.
Yeah. Through something like Witcher, less so with Assassin's Creed, because I'd say Assassin's Creed, I mean, it does have a good story, but there's a lot of it that's kind of just filler, fun, action gameplay or whatever. But like, trying to think of another, like Last of Us tells a really personal story. And I'm not saying that that's an RPG. I don't think that is. I feel like that's an adventure game, a horror survival adventure game. I don't classify that as RPG, but because I can't think of another better example, that's what I'm talking about, is that with that story, you're getting a very personal story about the character that you're playing, because
there's tons of them that are that way, man.
I'm trying to think about RPG.
Any of the Final Fantasies after 4 or 5, like
or God of War, like the personal story of Kratos.
You're playing these specific characters' stories out. So
you just get those more kind of internal growth stories, and something that's where the writers get to have a little bit more control over the narrative of the character.
Yeah.
So I guess as far as like RPGs and video games, because like we talked about the cyclical nature that they come from TTRPGs, which TTRPGs, what they do best is they do allow, 3 to 6 or 7, or hell, I've heard of people playing with 9 or 10 people. but they allow each of those people, depending on, how much your GM caters to it, to have a personal story arc, to have a personal progression of story. Well,
I think that's you're talking about the circle is like, well, that's what then brought us to tabletop out of video games, is because we were obviously craving that ability to invest even more of ourselves into the character. And so when something gets put in front of us, when we like actually stop and take a look at it, and we're like, oh shit, like we can do this. Like I can make this character whoever I want and still have a meaningful power progression that's fun to like interact with mechanically. It's like, oh, where's this been all my life? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was there.
I know.
Maybe the stigma.
The stigma
of
is
it,
much, very much so. And like life too. Sometimes
sure,
it's just I just wasn't in a environment where that was even something that was being presented or talked about.
For many years, we all played in bands, and I'll
so
say
we were so fulfilled.
The music scene is so comprehensive, and it's just enveloping. Like if that's something that you dive into, that's your whole life. It's your whole life, man.
It is.
Like what was funny is I was almost a theater major, and everyone told me don't be a theater major because it'll consume your life. That's all you'll have time for. And instead, I was a musician, and that's what consumed my life for several years. Yeah,
it does. Like when you're like doing it hard, like with like one band, and you're like really trying to go for it and everything. Like that's all it is. That you wake up thinking about the band, doing the band.
You're also spending time going to other shows, supporting your other fellow local musicians, which is how we met. I
don't think I was sober enough for the first 5 years of Chance Fisher to sit down and fucking play a game. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I drink while we play now. You've heard it. All of you've heard it.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers,
but I mean,
man.
I was just I was in no place to like sit still for that long during that time. Like it was just so much going on.
It's funny though that like, Zach mentioned being a theater major. He didn't want to do it because it's all consuming. And then he got in a band and realized it's all consuming. And then I think to some degree, once me and Zach weren't in a band anymore, right around then or not long after, we started playing TTRPGs, and then we started a podcast, and now that's our all-consuming thing.
Yeah,
right.
And now we listen to other podcasts that we want to support, like their other bands.
I will say that as far as all-consuming things that I have experienced in my life, the podcast part of it seems to be the most healthy and sustainable of the ventures.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely the least taxing,
Yeah. Gives me more time for video games.
Well, that's what we were all looking for all along, wasn't it?
It's a circle, man.
Yeah, flat circle.
Yeah.
So I guess I want to get into kind of what the word hybrid RPG has been thrown around a lot, and like, what the fuck does that even mean? Because like we've been kind of trying to define like what an RPG is, and even that conversation is like amorphous to some degree. We've got a few guidelines, but like that term has become more and more and more popular the last few years. So like, what would we consider, like, what is a hybrid RPG? Is it a game that belongs to another genre, but then like just incorporates a couple of elements?
So a hybrid RPG, or things that are RPG hybrids, I actually know this pretty well. It's anything that has a progression system or character choice tied to it, even if the gameplay isn't what you would typically associate with an RPG, even if it's not open world per se. The new God of War is a fantastic example of this because it has progression, it has loot choices, it has gear that you can choose to equip, you can upgrade your weapon trees in certain ways, but it's not an RPG in that traditional sense. Even freaking Call of Duty has elements of RPGs tied to it. You level up, you unlock new loadouts and change.
See, in that case, I would want to disconnect RPG from that. Call of Duty has a loot system, which was kind of originated in RPGs. But I would not say that Call of Duty
let's do it from Call of Duty. What about Destiny?
That's where I was going to go as well. Because
we've all played Destiny.
Yeah, so Destiny is at the edge of RPG hybrid, in my opinion. Like, I think it could or could not be, depending on what side, how you play Destiny, I'll say. What you play Destiny for determines whether or not that's an RPG hybrid or not.
I would absolutely argue that Destiny is an RPG shooter.
Not
Borderlands.
So would that make it
what
a
about
hybrid?
Borderlands? That's an RPG shooter.
I've never played Borderlands. So
oh man, it's you have a loot based progression. You have a skill tree based progression. You level up. You follow a character class that you choose on your story, but you shoot instead of hack and slash.
I think both of those would qualify because Destiny, you have a skill tree. It's kind of a limited skill tree, but you have a skill tree that you're progressing through until you get to X rank or whatever. And you're progressing your weapons constantly. And then same deal for Borderlands. You change you pick a class in both of them, like you said, because you can be Titan, Hunter, or Warlock in Destiny. And you pick what skills you want of the limited options as you go along. I think they're absolutely in the hybrid RPG. They are shooters that have been RPGified, that have had elements added into them from
I guess what
the
I'm
RPG.
saying is Destiny an RPG hybrid or a shooter hybrid? What is it?
Those aren't separate things because hybrid is two things.
Well, but hybrid is crossing two genres, right? And
yes.
So shooters and RPGs.
That's what it is. It's an RPG shooter. It is one half RPG, one half shooter. So you can say it's a shooter hybrid, or you can say it's an RPG hybrid, right?
Right. So which one does it lean to? Which umbrella is it on the skirt of? Is what I'm saying.
It doesn't matter. That's something you care about, but I'm just saying, is it a hybrid?
Right? It's the marriage. It's
more of a Venn diagram type situation there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what about, we mentioned Assassin's Creed. Would you consider that a hybrid? Because I think I would. It's got exploration and stuff, but it doesn't have it doesn't have any choice in your story, not really.
Yes, it does. First
not
of all.
Much. Not much.
All right, are we talking about the new ones or the old ones? Because
the new ones.
The new Assassin's Creed Origins Odyssey, especially Odyssey, is a 100% RPG.
I'd say if you're going to call Witcher 3 it's an RPG, you have to call Odyssey
because
an RPG.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is just a love letter to The Witcher 3. Yep. Is what it is. You have absolutely there's a branching narrative. You have individual choice in every cutscene. In multiple cutscenes. You have a skill tree based progression.
Hell, you have two different characters you can play in Assassin's Creed, even though they're the same character.
They're two different.
No, Odyssey is not even a hybrid. It's an RPG with elements of parkour.
See what hangs me up on that though is that yes, you technically have choice in your narrative, but there's only 4 times in the entire game where that choice affects anything at all.
Well, that's on the developers for not having,
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's only 4 times out of the 200,000 goddamn choices you can make that it has any effect whatsoever,
it's 100% an RPG.
I agree with
100%.
I'm with Zach on this one. If Witcher 3 is an RPG, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is an RPG.
It's an RPG.
I think they're both objectively RPGs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Not even we shouldn't even be debating this right now because the science is settled.
Well, because it does have not only the gear based progression and diversity, but also you pick skills.
I would say
different skills as you level up.
That the lack of impactful choice in Assassin's Creed would be a criticism that you would make of it, saying this is an RPG that isn't good for this reason, rather than saying this isn't an RPG because they didn't do this well. It's they just they made an RPG game and didn't give you as much choice as they could have,
Yeah. Well, and that is a criticism I have, and I love that game.
I don't think that narrative choice is what makes an RPG, man. Because we can talk that they're like all the Final Fantasy games. Nier Automata is undoubtedly an action RPG. Like I said, take the Final Fantasy VII remake. You guys haven't played these, but you really make so few choices and they amount to nothing. Mm-hmm. However, that is absolutely an RPG.
I agree.
So if that's the case, I wish that you guys had played some of these other RPGs that I've played, so that we could have.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna get berated by the fucking community real hard.
Oh, because we're gonna miss. I mean, so many games. We're trying to find common threads of RPG games that we've all played.
Yeah. Shoot, we're still defining the word, gentlemen. I mean,
here we are.
So, what are some other examples of hybrids? I mean, those are, I think the ones we've laid out are good.
BioShock.
I mean, surely there's others. I've never played. I played like an hour of BioShock. I don't know anything about BioShock.
Well, that's like a shooter. You know what I mean?
It's a shooter RPG hybrid. That's what I'm saying. Like that goes under the shooter umbrella, but it's a hybrid for a shooter because it has lots of RPG elements. You know what I mean? Like. You make a lot of choices about how you level up in that. As many choices as you make in Destiny.
Well, okay, so let me try to like rein this in a little bit to our main discussion. The thing about a lot of games now are they're adding in elements of what an RPG is because players like that element of choice, of customization, of progression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Which is, I think, what ultimately leads you to tabletop, right?
Yeah. Because
it's the ultimate expression of that.
I agree with that for sure. And I think that as any art form, any medium, video games have certainly, I think, taken their place at the table as far as that goes. That eventually there comes a point in the progression of the different stages of it to where it becomes like this combination of all the different stages that came before it. If you look at art today, it's a mixture of abstract realism, impressionism. Like there's not, even music, music is kind of crossed over lots of genres, Like indie rock is also electronica, is also dance music, and sometimes also rap. There's, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's less now about, hey, this is the thing that we're doing, as let's take all these things that have been done and put them together in new and interesting ways. And video games are doing the same thing. So yeah, your point, I really do like how you put that, because at the end of the day, we're seeing the best parts of all games blend together in new and really fun games that are learning the lessons from all the different individual genres.
We will be playing tabletop in VR someday. That is a thing that will absolutely happen. You will plug in your VR headset and think of like a Dreams style. Mm-hmm. DM creates a world. The characters inhabit that. I'm telling you, like eventually that'll be, and then it's going to get way out of hand at that point.
It's just going to turn into fucking LARP. Like, God damn it.
Yeah, it eventually will be. Absolutely. Yeah.
Guys, there's a movie I need you guys to watch called Mazes and Monsters, and it talks about the dangers of getting too absorbed in tabletop role-playing games. It's got Tom Hanks in it. And at the end of it, I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you guys. At the end of it, he's like on a bridge about to jump off because he thinks he's his character from the game. And his friends come up to him. And this is a pretty young Tom Hanks, as you can imagine.
I don't even want to entertain this conversation.
It's like one of those satanic panic reactionary titles.
It came out of that.
It was based on a book that was a direct result of that. I just want you to picture Tom Hanks, that Tom Hanks, like, kind of like ugly cry that he does a lot in a lot of his movies. Like I'm thinking about Big or something like that, where he's just how did I even get here? How did I even get here? And that's the end of the movie. So you don't have to watch it.
Oh man. I mean, yeah, probably just like YouTube,
just YouTube that
call
scene.
It good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Mazes and Monsters, man. Cautionary tale about the dangers of D&D.
How hilarious that's one of the blights on Tom Hanks' career is supporting that garbage.
Yeah. This had to have been like one of his first roles, you know. If not his first.
Hey man, you got to get that money somehow, you know. It's hard. It's a hard industry. Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, I don't.
How did we get here?
I don't even want to get into the fucking questionable choices actors have made early in their careers. That's a different Tom Talks.
Is it though?
It's a Tom Hanks talk.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's a Tom Talks.
We're pivoting.
A Tom Talks.
Well, there's going to be 2 Tom Talks, and one's about Tom Hanks, and one's about the Tom Club.
No, that'd be the Tom Talks.
Yeah. Perfect. Oh my god.
We got ideas for days.
Yeah. Oh man.
The pivot inside the pivot.
Yeah. A pivot inception right there, dude.
So, okay, we can get off this RPG thing in a minute. I was going to say, of the things that we've laid out that kind of make an RPG, is there any one of those elements that is just like the, not defining element, but the element that you as an individual like more than any of the others? Like I said, I really care for character creation a lot, even though it's not necessary for an RPG, but it's something that like makes a game really special to me.
I agree with you that, yeah, I love character creation. I mean, I guess that's kind of why I got into MMOs. I think it's why I like Dark Souls so much, is, you know, the character progression and customization in that. Yeah, I think that's a really, really important element for me, is kind of deciding the kind of character that I want to play and being able to have the freedom to create that within the system, you know? So I do love character creator RPGs. Absolutely. I'm right there with you, man. What about you, Adam?
I like mechanics and story relationship to be super tight. So like my favorite part of like what makes a really good RPG to me is that as I'm progressing as a character, it's tied into the story. Like my powers and what I'm getting feels like it's coming from what I'm doing, you know, like flavor wise. Like I really like to see, oh shit. Like back to the Mega Man days, I took out this ice boss and now I have the power of ice in my hands. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I mean, as you guys have played with me for a while in TTRPGs,
yeah.
Every time we level up, I'm going to tie your level up into the story somehow. That's my shit, dude. That's what makes RPGs fun to me, is that like, yeah, character growth, powering up and everything, but because of this narrative driven energy, you know, I love it.
Well, you know, referring strictly to our campaigns, that is one thing that I've really enjoyed doing, is finding a narrative way to justify, you know,
every
power
game
increases.
Skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something that we really strive to do in our TTRPG games, is to like make that make sense as best we can.
Well, and the funnest part of that is when it's like something real wacky, that it's like you gotta get real creative. You gotta really get creative and find a way to, because like, you know, I mean, Titanium Mike, for example, it's not very hard, but yeah, he's been punching for fucking 40 goddamn episodes. He got better at punching, guys. Like, surprise.
But like, I think you did a good job of tying your like feat tree choice and like how you're building, Mike, into the narrative of this protector, this, you know, I mean, for Christ's sakes, the Apollo Protection Agency, like,
yeah, his bodyguard, bodyguard feat,
right?
It's funny because I've got like, I like name external elements of his life and then just build off of that. So like APA, obviously bodyguard feat, and then in harm's way. But like also like, I mean, I've called him the toughest goddamn vest anybody's ever seen. So like, from second or third level, I took toughness. You know?
Yeah, from the get go. So you've built Mike out as a soldier that Mike would be, without a doubt. Like every step of the way, I think just further entrenches Mike and who he is. You know what I mean?
Whereas I've found some way to narratively justify the crazy, wacky options that I've found.
Yeah, because you're a mystic, so you get all this weird ass shit, like that's supposed to just come to you in the middle of a dungeon.
Divine inspiration, yeah. It's honestly, having a follower of a deity in that really helps facilitate that a lot.
Sure,
and I think it's not exclusive to my character, but to any TTRPG character.
I think just general advice is if you're playing a magic user of any sort, or really any characters can benefit from having a deity because it gives you so much narrative resource to build your character. It gives you direction for your character, things to strive for, and
See, that's something that I really haven't done much in my history of gaming. Has been a very religious character. Even my characters that were religious, it was just okay, I follow this deity, but I didn't really tie it in that much. And that's something I do want to do in the future if I get a chance to make another character. Is use that guideline, have a religious character and have him so rooted in that religion that I build the character in that way, because it's the deity thing has just been fluff. Anytime I've had one.
Well, speaking of your characters, I have a surprise question for the two of you on this subject.
Okay.
Okay, so what video game would you like to see your Aeon Throne character in?
Oh, man. Oh, dude.
I mean, probably Borderlands. Titanium Mike in Borderlands, or Destiny as a Titan would be, because I just punch as much as I could. I'd go full melee abilities.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. That's good.
Well, honestly, when I first was looking at creating a character to play Starfinder, I based Orin off of a Voidlock in Destiny. I mean, that was sort of the flavor. I was I want to make a Voidlock, and here's, I think, the closest way that I can do that. So I can't deny, that was a major influence. Now,
but you ended up making a Radiant Lock.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But that was, like I said, that was my initial inspiration. But yeah, absolutely, he is definitely more of a Radiant Lock now.
God, now I wish there was a way for Mike to get the Hammer Bro Super and just start throwing sun hammers like crazy.
I thought just was curious where those characters would lie in video game land. What we haven't talked about that I just thought about, but Outer Lands, I haven't played it, but I feel like
the Outer Worlds.
I'm sorry, Outer Worlds is relevant to us specifically as Starfinder. I know, Zach, you have felt like it's the closest thing to Starfinder as a video game.
It's low magic. I would love higher magic in that, and I'd also like a longer, more open.
It is kind of short.
It's kind of a short one. Yeah, it's Skyrim in space. It is not, and then Starfield, which is the one that Bethesda is actually doing. I don't trust Todd, and I don't trust Todd anymore. So I have my doubts about that as well.
Well, don't worry. There's Cyberpunk coming out, so that's
yeah. I mean, can we talk about Cyber?
I was at some point going to ask you about either actually current or upcoming games that we're interested in, but I knew that was immediately just going to be Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cyberpunk fits all the criteria for an RPG. It is an RPG.
It's based on an RPG.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
it's based on a tabletop RPG.
Which is why it's going to be so great. Give me a Starfinder game in the style of Cyberpunk. Give me a Pathfinder game in the style of Cyberpunk. Yeah. I would play it, in a heartbeat. But I'm very, very excited about Cyberpunk. It's going to be awesome. I think everybody listening to this already knows this. If you're not hyped for it, you should be. It's going to be dope, Mm-hmm. We'll be discussing it on air before episodes. I guarantee it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited about it, but it's harder to deeply discuss a game that's not out than one that you've actually at least gotten to play for a couple hours.
But there's going to be I think that, Adam has mentioned this several times, that Signal of Screams has a little bit of cyberpunk flavor to it. Mm-hmm. And
it'll be a good timing for that. Yeah.
And we're getting into that. So I am really excited. I've never played the cyberpunk tabletop.
Me either.
I'm aware of it. I'm aware of what some of the different classes and things are, but I have never actually sat down and looked at the core rule book or anything of the sort. So it'll be my first foray into the genre.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know a ton about it other than what I've seen from like E3 last year or whatever. Was it E3? Whatever the one that Keanu came out and fucking...
Yeah, that was E3.
Did
last year.
You're breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
Oh, what a meme, man. What a fantastic meme. So wholesome. Such a wholesome meme, Keanu.
He's such a good dude to be like such a fucking action star.
To like play the characters life. That he plays. Yeah,
no, not to play the character. That he does all of that shit. Like he does all the gun fu shit like in real life. Like he does. Oh yeah,
he's very skilled with all the weapons that he uses, and he's like an amazing person apparently too. So he's got it all. Yeah, that Keanu.
So we're pivoting to the Keanu Reeves fan club podcast.
Welcome, like
everyone.
It is kind of the we went through the McConaissance over the last a few years ago, and now it's kind of the Keanu sense the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, but he is like a super awesome dude that like it's a miracle that Hollywood has been able to keep their fucking mitts off him to a degree that they don't corrupt him.
Well,
all right.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
We're rooting for you, Keanu. Don't let him get you.
Anyway, in summation, we're excited about Cyberpunk. We can't wait to spend some time with Keanu in virtual space.
Right. Are there any other upcoming games that any of you guys are excited about? I'm not, like, to be honest, I love the video games that I love, but I'm really not like a diehard video game guy that keeps up with news. Like I know about Cyberpunk because if you play video games at all, you kind of have to know about it, but I don't know about any other. Last of Us 2.
Yep.
I mentioned this to you guys before, is that I've never played The Last of Us, but I've watched 3 or 4 different of my friends play for hours on end. Like I've never.
So you know who Joel and Ellie are. You understand the situation. The setting,
I get it, but I've never even touched the controller. While
have you seen the whole story from start to end?
No, not the whole thing.
It's good. It's real good.
It is good. Ghosts of Tsushima. Have you guys seen that? That's coming out the month after Last of Us. It's I don't know how many RPG elements it's going to have in it. It's definitely an open world game. It's going to feel like an Assassin's Creed game, I think, in a lot of ways. But it looks really good. It looks like it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that, as well as Last of Us. And I think Cyberpunk is kind of the other one that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 on computer.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, so that's what I was forgetting. We're talking about RPGs and how they relate to TTRPGs, and me and Adam haven't even talked about that. We've been playing Divinity Original Sin 2.
That's like the best representation of tabletop role-playing game on a video game. That's the best one. Dude.
It really is the perfect marriage of the two. And it's funny because Adam and I both have played that game solo because we were so excited about it, and neither of us really care for playing it solo, but playing it together and getting to like strategize, and if we're playing together, we each get to control 2 characters, and kind of determine what they do and how we want to do our takes on those characters. But it's so much more fun being able to strategize with you, just in the combat, if nothing else. You really,
the combat
it has
is super tactical but fun. Like it's like really fun graphics and animations and stuff, but it's turn-based, so you have some time to think about what you're doing. It feels like you're playing tabletop because you got these dailies and stuff that you can do, and I don't know, it's super awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Baldur's Gate. I haven't picked up Divinity, so I've heard good things. You guys rave about it, but I haven't actually played it myself, so I can't comment on that. But Baldur's Gate looks really good.
It really scratches that itch of like there's been times when me and Adam were like, man, if a session got canceled or put off a week or something like that, they're like, man, we wish we could play. And it's like, well, we could play a Divinity Original Sin, and that's close enough.
Yeah, we'll knock out a 4-hour session. Like, boom, we just played some D&D kind of.
Yeah, the only problem is it's funny because we play so many TTRPGs and stuff. And like you inherently have to be patient and give people their time to do everything. But like we'll be playing Divinity and catch ourselves like he'll run off and talk to somebody and I'm not seeing it go down. And it's like, hey dude, we gotta all see this. Like,
yeah, the thing is,
chill
like
out.
if you split, you can't hear what the other person's interacting with. The NPC. So you have to be around them.
Yeah, you got to choose to like at least overhear their conversations,
just like a tabletop game.
Right. You can be on completely different sides of the map.
Well, but as opposed to a tabletop, you're gonna hear it no matter what because you're all in the same space. Like, I could be just like going over here selling some loot or whatever, and he's having a whole fucking quest conversation. 50 yards away, and I didn't even know it. And it's like, oh, what are you doing? God damn it, you're talking to somebody, Adam. I want to know what they had to say.
Adam's trying to keep it moving.
Well, that's the danger of like, even though we know it's like a TTRPG marriage of a video game, like it's still like you're playing a video game, so your brain switches to like, okay, completion.
Yeah. Well, and like you take for granted that there's a lot of RPGs where the NPCs don't matter, really. Like other than the ones that have a gigantic exclamation point over their head. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you don't stop and talk to every NPC in the street in Skyrim, for example, or anything like that. You talk to some to get a feel for the world, but eventually you start blasting past those. Yeah. But in Divinity, like every NPC has a potential storyline and potential loot and a potential influence on what might happen somewhere over here later. You know what I mean? Like they've done their work to make it feel as close to being around a table as you can with the limitations of video game. It's fun. It's real fun. And they're making Baldur's Gate 3, which is going to be that plus a few years of video game development on top of it. Plus in the 5e system, which I'm familiar.
To 5e.
Right. So like it's I'm gonna know what everything does instantly. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Divinity Sin, we're
figuring stuff out.
Yeah, we're like, what does this spell do? Let's try this out a little bit.
Right.
Like, oh shit, that blew up the whole fucking town. Let's try and not do that again.
Isn't Kingmaker very much like that, but with Pathfinder?
I haven't played it. I've been wanting to play Kingmaker, but I don't think
Kingmaker is more like original Baldur's Gate. I'm not sure that it's turn-based.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. I've been wanting to play that forever.
And it's hard, from what I heard. It's very, very hard. That. Yeah.
Well, Divinity gets really fucking hard too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, I'm further in my solo game than we are in our game, and I'm at a point that I'm like, I don't know how you do this, because I went evil as fuck and killed every single fucking townsperson to get all the experience that I could, and still I'm like, how can I beat this? How can I possibly win this combat? And I'm not that far into the game.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah. One thing I like so much that they do, though, and I'm not taking too long on this or whatever, but is that like the whole elements of stuff that are on the ground affect everything. So like you might have ice or like pools of blood on the ground, and like I play the Conjurer in our game, and you can summon totems that like ping damage every turn, or you can summon like a summon, like a creature. Mm-hmm. And if you summon them in the blood pools, they get different bonuses than they do if you summon them in the ice or in fire. Like in their
okay,
all that stuff is very
and different
cool.
abilities and stuff too. Like everything, like all the magic is tied to a particular damage type. So like there's Geomancer magic, and there's Pyromancer magic, and Aerotheurge, and and so there's a whole spell book for each element, and then there are ways to like mix those things, and they interact with each other. Like all the status effects on the battlefield like matter. If it's wet, you don't want to be around somebody throwing some lightning damage because you're going to get screwed.
Because it'll hit everybody in the party
Yeah.
if the rain is wide enough. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an element I don't see a ton. I'm sure other games have done it, but like I haven't played many games that have that, and I just think it's such a fun little wrinkle of like adding into the strategy without it just being more moves that you have to make.
Yeah, it's not just an add-on. It's part of the technique of the combat. Like you need to learn how to use status effects to be good at the combat.
You know, I don't see that so much in tabletop. I would kind of like to see more.
I think it's all about it in 2E. I think 2E that's the name of the game. You know, is status effects. And I was going to say that 2E feels
things like cast a water spell to make a creature wet, and then cast a lightning spell afterward to do double damage.
I mean, it's not quite as simple as all that, but I really do think that there is like combo strategies in 2E, the way that the feats interact and the different skills interact, and like the way one person can set up another person to have a more meaningful impact with their turn. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the sort of thing that I'm saying that I want to see. Like it just bugs me that I can't cast grease on a person and then cast overheat the next turn and it do more damage because they're greased up. You know, I want to do that kind of stuff.
right.
Okay, well, I've only got a couple more like little questions for you, and we can get out of here.
Okay.
Do you have like a sleeper RPG or like an RPG that maybe was underrated at any point? It could be an old one or whatever that you thought didn't get enough love that was really good.
I mean, I'm not cool enough to know the indie games like that. You know,
well, yeah,
like all the ones I can think of
thing.
got like tons of recognition in their day. I think there's some that have gotten forgotten, but like they're also not really relevant today either. You know, like Ultima Online was like a huge deal because it was a massive world before World of Warcraft, but it just wasn't the same kind of level that World of Warcraft was at. But like Ultima Online was like one of the first like living worlds, you know, to the point to where the guy who created Ultima, like those games, he had a character in the world that you could like come up to, and he had like built himself some armor that made him pretty invincible, you know, because he's the damn programmer of the game. But literally there was a plot to assassinate. He was the king in this world, the creator of the game. He was like kind of the king, and every now and then he would come into the game during special events and he would do things and the world would change or whatever. There was a whole deal where basically that king got assassinated. His character got killed by somebody who figured out how to work around his like god armor that he put on and killed the king of Ultima. And that like became the lore of the game going on. And then shortly after World of Warcraft came out and like, that was that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to talk about WoW at one point, but it's too late now. Just suffice to say, like, WoW was huge in my, like, getting to TTRPGs. Like, I played WoW for years and, like,
never played.
I was an altaholic super bad because I loved creating new characters and trying new fighting styles and stuff and never getting to fucking even halfway to max rank, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't, that missed me. For sure.
Not me, unfortunately. You
had some good times.
I did. I had some great times. I've had some really enjoyable times. I probably wouldn't pick it up again now.
Well, it's kind of the thing that at least I know me and you, our experience has always been like, when we had 3, 4, 5 friends that were all playing for a new expansion or something, we'd all get together for like a couple of months and fucking jam out on it. And then as soon as 1 or 2 people fell off, it fell apart for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's a hard game to play by yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's nearly as fun, but I don't think there's a lot of games that aren't nearly as fun without friends to play with. You know? So, which is partially the best part of playing tabletop with you guys.
That's also a good thing about RPGs, like particularly big open world single player RPGs, is that you can play them alone, and you don't have the option to play with another person in games like Skyrim and stuff like that, but they're still incredibly fulfilling time sinks. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, none of us like put down Skyrim because we couldn't chat with our buddy about playing Skyrim.
They have a mod now for Skyrim Together, I think is what it's called. And you can play with up to like 7 people.
That's just crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think it's pretty buggy, but
that
still,
sounds super. Like, I mean, you guys just go in and wreck a whole town for no reason.
yeah,
you know?
you do. Like you definitely do. I saw a guy on YouTube who had 7 people, and they decided to do the Assassins, the Dark Brotherhood quest, and so the main guy, he walks in to the kid, what's his name, Aventus Argentino in Skyrim, right?
That's summoning the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah. The guy goes in, and then one of his friends runs in and just suplexes the kid. He just lays him out on the floor, and he's like, "Okay, great. What are we gonna do now?"
Wow.
So yeah, you can definitely derail your friends.
That just sounds like the only appeal is the chaos of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, of course, of course. That's all anybody plays Skyrim for now. Is the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, absolutely, man. It's a thing now.
Okay, so I know you, Zach, have you beat the Final Fantasy VII remake?
I have finished it. Yeah.
But I mean, first of all, how did you enjoy it? Was it everything it lived up to be, or was supposed to live up to?
So it's contentious among the community. I personally loved it. It's not necessarily a complete remake of the original game.
Yeah.
It's a tower-esque turn of the tower, if you will.
Turn of the wheel.
Yeah.
That we get that. I don't think everybody else is.
Well,
That's fine.
I don't want to
That's
spoil
good.
it.
No,
I don't
that's
want to
good.
spoil it. Yeah.
It was, I think, purposely encoded there a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say.
Well, if you don't get that joke, go read 7 fucking books real quick.
Yeah, and then you'll totally get it. Yeah.
And your nipples will get hard and hurt as you read them.
Again, not everybody's gonna get that one and think you're just a weirdo.
But those who were there, they get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that said, I mean, I never played the first Final Fantasy VII. My entry into Final Fantasy was 8, which is itself a contentious, like, is it a good game or a bad game? I loved it, but it's cursed. I swear to God, I am cursed with that game. I've been trying to beat it since I was 12 fucking years old, and I have, I think 4 different times now gotten halfway through it, and either my third disc would fuck up, or the time that I, like, downloaded it, there was a corruption halfway through it. I've never beaten the game, and I've played it 5-6 times.
At this point, I would say just get on YouTube and just, watch the last few hours.
I'm gonna beat it one day.
They do have a remaster out now with like slightly better graphics,
Yeah, I mean, it's not that great. I would love to see like a good modern graphics version of that. But that ties into my next question. Are there any other RPGs or just video games in general that you would like to see a good remake or reimagining of?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I mean, you already got your Final Fantasy VII. So
I did. I'm like, I can die happy. Like, well, I need the rest of the story is what I need. I need the next 2 games. I
want a remastered and added on to KOTOR, or I want a new KOTOR, like single player.
Yeah, KOTOR. Absolutely, man. That would be.
I mean, the MMO was fun. I never got like super far into it, but the only reason I played it is because it still had the similar like story, like elements that KOTOR had. I didn't give a shit about the like doing dungeons aspect, but I want another single player KOTOR experience.
I would just try to make Orin in KOTOR. If there was like a new KOTOR that came out, I would try my best to to create that character. And
I don't think they could do a like frame for frame remake of that, because I do think some of the leveling up systems are kind of out of date now. They'd have to figure out a new way to do that. Because I never loved, and I love KOTOR. It's a foundational game, probably the first big RPG I played. But I didn't like that you start as one class, you do like up to like 7 levels of that class, and then you switch to what Jedi class you are. And like it's the combination.
You have to be a Jedi.
You have in KOTOR 1. You have to be a Jedi.
Okay. I always did it. Because duh.
Now you can choose not to use lightsabers, but you will go through the story narrative of becoming a Jedi.
Okay, but you don't.
You can choose to use guns all you want.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you guys probably know this.
I mean, it's a Jedi.
If I have a chance to use a lightsaber, I'm going to use a lightsaber. Yeah. Thank you, Paizo, for adding Solar Connection alternate class feature. Yeah. I'm just, thank you. Came out just in time.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Starfinder being, I mean, it's still relatively new. I mean, we're a few years in, but it's still a pretty young game. I mean, D&D has been around since the fucking 70s, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see what other, like, tropes and elements from other sci-fi stuff they'll pull in.
To bring it full circle, you asked what I'd like to see a remake of, and to bring it all the way back to the beginning about me being old. I'm so old that the game I want a remake of has already been remade, and it got remade into SVGA graphics. That was the remake. Do you know what SVGA graphics are? No? Okay, so...
Let me Google it real quick.
All right, so it started with EGA graphics, which was like the first like color graphics that you could make on a computer. And then it was VGA, and it got into like 16 color graphics. And then there was...
So is that like original Doom?
No, dude.
Would that be SVGA?
Oh, yeah. Original Doom would probably be SVGA. Yeah.
Okay.
So before that, it was like real blocky when it was EGA. And like, so Quest for Glory came out originally as EGA. And it's like so like slippery on the screen. Like when you're moving it, like I wish there was something I could relate it to that you'd understand. But like when you, cause it was before there was even a mouse really. And so you'd use the keyboard to, to move, and they would just like, it was such sticky move, like quick turns, and then they would just fly across the screen, because there was so very little control of the processing speed. It was just, this is what it is. And so, yeah, that game I remember being excited when they're like, oh, we're remaking the first Quest for Glory in bright new SVGA graphics. And I was like, yes, like, that was awesome,
It's everything I've wanted.
But like, honestly,
he got his remake in 1999.
Yeah, seriously. But like, there was then some people recently, I think like 5 years ago, took it upon themselves to remake Quest for Glory 2 in SVGA graphics and better graphics. And that was like recent. And that was like some independent project. You can go to like Quest for Glory 2 remake.com and like get it, and play it. And, so like, as far as other games, I mean, they're already remaking everything already, or they're just making the sequel to it. They're just, okay, I want a new Elder Scrolls game. That's good. Or a new Fallout game. That's good.
Well, but those are just franchises.
Man. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if I think about my video games that I've played, like when I was playing RPGs that were old that would need a remake, they've already been remade, and they're so like dated that there's no point to remake them to modern graphics now. Like, it wouldn't even be the same game. Like, you can't have the experience of that game now because it was like point and click, and like, and you had to like. If you wanted to look in a tree, there was a text parser, and you had to type in "look at tree." Like
okay. So Adam's old, we get it.
Well, no, but just to give you the idea of what I'm saying, like that was the game. Is like you had to figure out what the command was to get to figure out what to do. Like, so you'd go up to like a stump and it'd be like, "Look at tree" or "Look at stump," and they would do some snarky little text bubble would come out. It's just a stump, and then like kick the stump. Your toe is now swollen. So it would try to like anticipate what people would type, but obviously it wouldn't be able to know everything, because they have to script all that.
Password. You had to guess the password.
Yeah, like every puzzle was like, and like one of the features of those old games too was random combination of objects, like. There would be no logical reason why it worked. It was literally you'd go through your little inventory bag and you'd have like a peacock feather and like a stone, and you'd combine them together, and that would solve the puzzle. And it would have no it was like they were, maybe this is where I get my streak of DM
so
brutality.
It was a bad
with,
game.
No, it was like they were just trolling their players. You know what I mean? Like it was this weird thing where it's like none of the puzzles could be easy ever.
I mean, easy is one thing, logical is
right,
another.
Right.
Fuck
I'm
that
so
game.
glad that I
that
did not
game.
grow up playing that game. I'm so glad.
They were amazing. I don't know what to tell you.
Sounds like they weren't. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I think that's it, guys. I just wanted to really shoot the shit with you guys, mainly about RPGs, why they led us to TTRPGs, you know? What are those elements that got us there? So, I appreciate both of you guys being on. Is there anything special we need to let the listeners know at all?
Yeah, we can. There's a couple things. First of all, there's no listener questions this Tom Talks. That's because we intend to take mostly listener questions for our book 3 wrap up, where we get the whole group together. So that way you guys can get all your questions out about book 3 when we have our big wrap up. Secondly, I would like to officially announce our partnership with Norse Foundry Dice. They have been so kind as to support us and hook us up with some dice, and we actually have some dice to give away. There'll be more details on that probably out by the time you hear this. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to them and say thank you for their support.
Absolutely.
And for you guys, what that means for you, if you don't know already, you can go to their website and you can use the discount code STF to get 15% off your purchase. So I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
Bad.
And
That's
they make some real pretty dice too, man.
And whoever gets those giveaway dice, look, you're fucking lucky because I wanted them. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'll let them go to the giveaway. They're my favorite color and everything. But you can have them.
They're nice. And then, yeah, that's all I got. So
is this going to be out by the time we do our live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to come out before the live stream. I'm sorry.
Okay, well then we should probably hype the live stream one more time, right?
Yeah, all right. Hype it.
Yeah, go for it, dog.
What is it, the 30th? Is it the 30th? I don't even know anymore.
It's the 30th, yeah.
The 30th, 5 p.m. Central. Come check us out. We're going to be hanging out and streaming from the comfort of our own individual homes this time because of the Rona. And
we'll be on Twitch. But we'll provide links in our Discord and all that kind of stuff too. So if you need to find out where it is, just hit us up on Twitter or Discord or wherever. But it will be on our Twitch channel on that date.
And the reason we're having a live stream is because the finale of season 1 of Against the Iron Throne. We're going to be dropping a big chunky 4-hour episode 69 on everybody. Immediately after the stream.
It's a good one. And so we'd love to see you there with us hanging out. You can talk shit about video games with us if you want.
Yeah, I mean we can.
We'll already have some of that going on prior, but
yeah,
you can do that.
Anyway, join the Discord if you're not already in the Discord. If you're listening to Tom Talks, you're not in our Discord, why?
Yeah, agree.
Please join. That's all I got. That's all I got, boys. Fade us out, Heath.
Good job. All right. Well, we appreciate all the listeners. We didn't do listener questions, but we'll get a big one next time. And honestly, I was just scared to even try with you guys having more video game knowledge than we probably do combined. So, thanks for being here, guys. Zach, it was good to have you on again. It's been a while.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
I'll try to get you on more frequently.
How about you come back
I'll be on
next
the
time?
next one.
Yeah, why don't you come back next time?
Come on next time.
I'll be on the next one, yeah.
Yeah, next time, the big every fucking buddy's on it, pain in my ass Tom Talks.
Yeah.
I really liked, what was it, the first Tom Talks that we had everybody on? That was
I'm
a
sure
great
you
one.
did.
Not because I was on it, but just because it was a fun thing to do.
Yeah, they're just those are just chaos for me. They're fun though because I love all you guys. Anyways, we'll see you.
We'll see you.
Thanks for
We'll
coming to
fucking
Tom
see ya.
Talks. We'll fucking see you.